Uh, yeah, I just kind of wanted to just kind of like bring some of that back because I feel like sometimes we can talk about these things in a more esoteric kind of way, but I kind of wanted to bring some of like those practical situations, and I kind of wanted to just kind of like hear from you guys, just like in a short way of ways that you have seen it either in yourself or in others, and seeing how those different ways have manifested for you. Um, I mean, and I'll go ahead and get started. Like I'm a fitness instructor, and I work with in types of fitness that bring a lot of insecurities to the forefront. Um, I do aerial and pole instruction. So that brings up a lot of things for people. And things that I see are those fears of limiting beliefs and that anxiety rise up. And it try to find a way on what to attach to, whether it is to yourself, because the dark feminine doesn't even have to attack somebody else. It can also attack you and your own desire for personal growth. It can attach to somebody else, and it can be their movement style, it can be their color, it can be your perceived level of beauty, and or there you need to be really close friends with them, but at the same time there's attachments that can happen to somebody's partner or somebody's parent. um uh, yeah, so I kind of wanted to hear from you guys, like how are just some other like just quick ways where you have seen, I want to see like snapshots of what these things have been in your lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, Danny. And one thing I'm thinking about, I think we need to mute. One thing I'm thinking about is what you're talking about, like attacking the self. So I definitely have attacked myself uh, through this distorted program that the value of my value as a woman has to do with how I look and if I'm getting attention from men. And so I have this story actually of being in Mexico. Ma was there, and we had gone out to dinner one night, and that night the waiter was flirting with me, and I was just eating up all the attention, and it was validating the same part that attacks me, that's like, you're not beautiful enough, you're not good enough, your value is only this thing, and it needs to come from a man. So that night I was feeling a very inflated sense of ego and like, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm so sexy. And then the next day we went there with a bigger group of people, and the waiter was there again, and he was flirting with a different woman at the table and not me. And I like, where's my attention? And I felt it come in. Ma's laughing because she was there. I felt it come in, and I felt the sort of, and then finally I realized what was happening, and I just turned to this woman and I said, I'm being totally jealous of you right now because that waiter gave me attention last night, and now he's giving you attention. And just in the moment that I could name it, it shifted the energy. Just saying it out loud, not holding it within, not trying to pretend like I'm cool and I don't care, but like owning, like what Sarah was talking about, taking responsibility, owning it, but to just see how it weaves in, that energy weaves in so quickly, and how I will go for it because I'm seeking validation, or I've in some way. So I feel like that's a pretty great example of something personally that I went through, that work that I went through, just to even be able to call myself out and say it and see it. It took a lot of work to get there. So that's one example that came to mind.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's definitely a way that it shows up. I know that we've mentioned some other ones, but just like that jealousy, that envy, that I mean, like you see it as early as like in childhood, like somebody's just like, let's be best friends, let's be so close, and let's see what we can steal from one another, or again, like repressing those feelings that are just like, I'm just gonna be cool, I'm gonna pretend nothing is happening, or facing it. And yeah, that there's a lot of racist beliefs, the ways that is geographically speaking where we're at, how white women benefit from their color in different situations, and the importance of being an ally, of saying, I denounce that gift that the dark feminine gives me, and choosing to stand up for something else.
Maizara?
Danny, that was actually what I was going to talk about for my example was, well, two things. One, I think with understanding what it means for me to face racism in myself, understanding that like it's not enough to like have quote the right beliefs and just have them internally, in that instead understanding that like if I remain silent in a situation, that I'm choosing to align with an energy and I'm taking full advantage of my white privilege. And I had a situation in my workplace where um, we worked with law enforcement, and there was a situation where I could see this resistance in myself of speaking out against a behavior that I was uncomfortable with. And it actually was something I worked through the spiritual work that I do, and was able to like see it in a different way and become much more vocal. And that's an example of like being able to put it on, it's like, and seeing all the times also where I didn't put it on, and owning that and understanding what that's about. Um, I think the other big one for me personally is like this this knowledge and these teachings has helped me completely change the way that I view my experience of surviving sexual assault. And like, I mean, it's a story of a woman in the system who hasn't been, I mean, pretty much, I've never met anyone who hasn't somehow experienced some form of sexual violence. I mean, it's part of patriarchy. But for me, it was understanding that like if I identify with that, like identity as a victim, and choosing to give my power away and see things in terms of victim and predator, I couldn't, that was like for my own inner work, a huge part of my own healing was like being able to just understand it in a different way, and to be able to heal myself and to not necessarily bond through shared pain, which is another that can be very dark. And also understanding that like I don't need to run to the system to expect the system to like be the have the power to help me or something, like owning my own power again. So those are just two ways. I mean, that's kind of a big one, but like those are two ways for me that this work has been really huge in changing how I have, shifting it in myself.